That's LAPD flying right over my apartment. Just so that you know, and this is the impossible light activity that's on my carpet floor, on my bedding. Okay, this is never going to be sunlight while the entity is maintaining the light source that's supposedly the sun over the Upland Public Library. And that is, again, the demon possession that's exhibited by a corrupt law enforcement agency that's group stalking amongst engineered light and under a light source that's not possibly the sun. Again, this is on the watch of Dominic Choi. He is demon possessed, and that's why this corruption is occurring amongst the Los Angeles Police Department, as are those actors of that agency flying over my apartment right now. This is engineered light that's covering all of the hillside. They are group stalking with the state as well. This whole population is going to be prosecuted because this community is engaged in state surveillance with that corrupt agency that just flew over my apartment right now at 5:59 p.m. This is engineered light. That's the same engineered light you see spread across my carpet, not sunlight. It would never be sunlight where the entity is over this same apartment building, as you saw in the previous video, as I gave you an example, at 8:31 in the morning. This is the same light source that's outside of my apartment right now, and it's 5:59 p.m. in that specific environment, which is under no circumstances the natural environment, nor can it possibly be shared with the environment that is on this same day, for example, at the Upland Public Library, where the light source remains over that library. As a matter of documentation, even beyond what I documented today, May 18, 2022. All right, today's 2024, but I documented on the same exact day showing the pattern of conduct. That is serving for what is evidence against all the people of the state. Okay, and you're understanding why Lucy Santos is going to federal prison, whether she's sitting at work right now somewhere or standing. I don't know what she does for a living, but I know that she's a group stalker living at a crime scene, and she's going to federal prison while I'm documenting the state that she's group stalking in concert with, and her address is at the crime scene. Everybody living at a crime scene or working at a crime scene or systematically present at a crime scene on behalf of that corrupt government that you hear stalking in a helicopter, that engages in what is abusing the constitutional and human rights of an American citizen, engaging in the elements of monitoring, which is the outward demonstration of demon possession. This is terrorism on all fronts. This is why Dominic Choi is fired, and the world will know why Dominic Choi is fired, okay, and why the LAPD is going to be disbanded. They are enemies to your constitutional rights, to your right to freedom, while you are enforcing your rights. They are psychopaths and violent sex offenders keeping me under surveillance inside of my private space. Okay, it is currently 6:01 p.m. None of this is sunlight. It's not possibly sunlight. This is the same hillside where the so-called sunrise is documented as early as 6:45 in the morning. All right, the entity is maintaining a light source again, even at 8:30 in the morning, like you saw in the previous window, at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's no sun that will be at the same position to create any of this engineered light. And while the entity is engaging, while the sun is a constant moving object, if the if the sun rises here at this hillside, which you've already seen, and no conduct such as covering up the light source and then it appearing still in alignment to me at whatever time of the day, it is equally impossible, because there will never be a sunrise here at this hillside. There will never be sunlight that appears above my head in my bedroom or in my living room or in my kitchen or in my hallway. Never. That is the pattern of conduct. And the demon-possessed agency, that is the corrupt domestic enemy, the LAPD, which the world is going to learn about. And it is not reasonable that Dominic Choi can tell anybody, let alone any any onlookers, anyone questioning, did they know, does he know about what the department is devoting all the resources using the helicopter 24 hours a day, whether he knows about that when he's going to see the tons and tons and tons and tons of video documentation? Let me be clear, he's already aware of it. This is a state system. You don't have any ignorance when you're stalking with light. The specific environment is speaking to specific knowledge and ongoing real-time knowledge about that target individual and about what I'm doing on a communication device. This entity engaged in removing evidence from my Google Drive folder at that. So I just want to let you know that. That helicopter activity is called audible activity, and all of the people of the state are covered in the evidence. Not only Lucy Santos is going to be prosecuted, Lucy Santos is going to federal prison specifically. They are, as far as you can see, all of this hillside is covered in engineered light, and they're all going to be found by the federal government, and they will be federally prosecuted for engaging in what is state surveillance, which is why the specific environment is here. None of this is sunlight that's covering their property. None of this is the sun that's current, as documented at this in relevant position, a sunrise and a sunset. None of this is the natural environment where the entity is stalking in helicopters, where you have one of the elements, it's speaking to the presence of all elements, and the elements are speaking to the corrupt entity that is engaging in what is a crime committed by a whole community. And they're all engaged in group stalking together. I don't need to know their names. All I do is need to see them in the path, and you're living in the path, you are a documented group stalker, which is a state crime. The engineer light, the pattern of stalking with light, the pattern of stalking with planes and helicopters, the pattern of conduct with engineer light. For example, any random demon crossing by 1826 Lobdell is speaking to the existence of a system, and nobody has any legal argument. This is what they're all engaging in. And this is the evidence that I already have on the record, including stalking by helicopters, but the evidence that I already have on the record is speaking to what is every single last person is engaging in this criminal system. And it is documented, identified, prosecuted by presence in the path. If you live in the path, you're going to be prosecuted. All right. And this is going to be also requiring permeating the lives of the entity that's engaging in this criminal system in the state of California. All right. It is currently 6:04 p.m. That's the entity providing the direct evidence against the people of the state, which Lucy Santos is I'm going to play this tape and she's going to be prosecuted by it. This is how you're going to prosecute the entity that's engaging in the criminal conspiracy to keep an American citizen under surveillance. And it's the practice of demonic activity. It's public corruption. And it is evidenced through the unnatural environment. All right. It is currently, again, 6:04 p.m. and this is P.O.C.